So let's track back and help me understand this, right? And I feel like I'm gonna need some snacks for this one. Hold on a minute. So let's track back and help me understand this, right? And I feel like I'm gonna need some snacks for this one. Hold on a minute. So, you are criticizing Julius Malema for getting 12 doing mathematics when he was doing his matric, during a time where a system of education was oppressive towards black people, which did not allow them to advance into anything other than gardening and washing dishes, including washing white people's buttocks. During that time, he actually studied Bantu education, yet he thrived despite all those circumstances. Yet he thrived despite you bringing up this Western education to value a man who did exceptionally well for himself. He did not allow people like you to dictate his life. Now, I'm not saying he's the best man or anything of the sort, but can we at least give him his flowers? Can we at least give him that? You want our country to be led by whom? John Staton? The DA? Man with no matric to lead this country? What could he possibly lead this country into if we vote for the DA? I mean, are we gonna overlook because he is a white man? Are we not gonna go into his history and get his grade 11 report so that we can see? Now he's a wealthy man and he has to do the bare minimum, while Julius Malema has to work 10 times as hard to get the acknowledgement that he gets for just being white.
You know, for the first time in my life, I am agreeing with P.W. Botha. Back then, I would have lost my mind trying to defend this alleged statement that he made. Even after the back-to-back analysis that I did about P.W. Botha, considering that during his time he was one of the most corrupt white men to ever govern South Africa. He was also a war criminal who did not just bring war towards black South Africans but the whole southern region, and also blocking other African nations from developing independently so that they don't rise against the apartheid system that was oppressive towards black South Africans. Hence, they took apartheid debts that some of these African nations still owe to this day. So the reason I agree with this statement is this: how can a black man govern a system that was initially designed to oppress him? Obviously, the system will eventually corrupt him, because right from colonization, it was never even about leadership, no guidance. It was always has been about white domination and control. The apartheid government of South Africa, like the Nazi government of Germany, has made its racist policies clear to the world. We want to make South Africa white, keeping it white. White can only mean one thing, namely white domination, not leadership, not guidance, but control, supremacy. So let's break this thing down. Black people can't rule themselves because they don't have the brain and the mental capacity to govern a society. We as black people, we are not made to rule over white people. We are subhumans that should be ruled over by them. Secondly, this system was designed by them and they are the only ones who knows the ins and outs of it. And this is why also Cape Town is trying to isolate itself from South Africa, because they cannot see themselves governed by a black person. Quote unquote rulership can only happen one way, and that is the white way. Give them weapons, they would unalive themselves. This happens in two ways, spiritually and physically. We as black people consistently chase to attempt to be them. It can never be done. You can never in your wildest dream attain whiteness because you are never born white. It doesn't matter how much you alter yourself as a black person. you can never attain whiteness. Even when you breed, and I say breed because it has gotten to a point where black people feel like by intermarrying with other races will cleanse off that blackness of them. Give them power. This power is limited. We can only operate around this power as long as we operate along the means that they want us to operate. We never operate around our own power. It's around somebody else's power. Because even in terms of us stealing the money from the government, it does not initially end in our hands because we don't own the economy and we don't even own the resources of this land, aka the land, which again, the land is the wealth. Most of the corruption is done in the private sector than it is done in the government. The government is like a shadow for the private sector to keep on doing what they do, which is exploitation. Give them independence and democracy. They have given us independence and democracy, and we use it to promote tribalism, ethnicity, and so forth. All of this is promoted by our media. We get to see a perspective of which they want us to see of ourselves. Further on, enticing and keeping it in your subconscious as a black person that you are not made for anything greater than. Hence, you are meant to be subdued and controlled by white people as you don't know how to behave. They've said this so much so that even black people in this comment want to thank Buddha. They want to thank him for being this genius for predicting this. How can you govern a society when you're a ship and you feel like this statement allegedly is not even talking about you? By the way, this statement was proven to be false. It is something that he did not originally say. Someone decided that it was a good idea to just capture this and use his face to promote this ideology.
What a lot of people don't get about this alleged statement of P.W. Porter is that a lot of people predicted this in many different ways. Let's take Winnie Madikizela Mandela. She was against this democracy from the beginning, Steve Biko included, and all the other activists that aren't alive today to tell the story. This system is designed to oppress you. It was never designed to prosper a black person. It was also designed systemically to operate for a minority of people. It was never designed to cater for all. You cannot expect leadership from a system like that. The only thing that you can expect is to take the short end of the stick, which is what the ANC is doing at the moment. I mean, look at the statement. Give them. Anybody that has the power to give you anything ultimately has the power to take it. The economy of this country is in the hands of the same people who conquered it during colonization, and nothing changed simply because they put a black face on it. Obviously, black people cannot govern themselves in a system like that was designed to oppress them. Obviously, they don't have the brain and the mental capacity to govern a society which is Western doctrinated. The things that we put out as black people most of the time are all of the things that they wanted us to behave, act, and think like. We are not paid for the resources of this country, just like we weren't paid during colonization and apartheid. We are still exploited as the black labor in this country, and we are still underpaid as we were back then. The level of ignorance in this country serves the interest of those who benefit from it. Secondly, as an African person, you can never take over anything. You are not white. You will never ever take over anything. They will never give you that power to take over anything. The minute you believe as a black foreigner that you are going to take over South Africa, you ought to know that you are not so far away from having an apartheid yourselves. Because again, the system will shift you the way that they shifted Black South Africans. The only power that you get as a foreigner is that you serve a particular purpose, that is the labor market. It has always been like that. Hence, they used to take people from foreign countries and put them in South Africa, like people from Malawi, Zimbabwe, Lesotho, all those countries who were affected by the apartheid, which again, apartheid went into those countries and lodged full war onto them. They came here, some of them willingly, some of them forced. I'm a living proof that I'm dedicating this page to knowledge. I could not leave with the information in my head. It was driving me crazy. I didn't care if people listened or don't listen to me. I just needed a platform to express myself. So,